chapter 19 of the language.
All right, so this second learning target looks really, really familiar to when we were looking at our excerpts from other chapters in previous lessons. Thank you, Rocio and Emily. All right, so before we dive into chapter 19, I want you guys on the third slide of your note taker to take a moment to just reflect on how your essay went. All right, that was our first essay that we wrote together. So a lot of it was brand new for some of us, all right? So I want you to just take a moment by yourselves to reflect on how each of these went. You'll be using that same 1 through 4 scale that you guys use for your learning targets. 1 meaning I was really confused. I had a lot of questions. 2 meaning I'm a little confused. I still have some questions. 3, feeling pretty good. I got it. 4, I could explain it to a friend. And then the last thing that I want you all to do in this box is I want you to tell me something that went well. So what was a star? What was something that you did really well? Maybe that was a specific paragraph. So maybe you feel like you did a great job with your introduction paragraph. Maybe you feel like you did a good job finding evidence. And then a step. What's one thing that you can improve? Maybe you can improve filling out your graphic organizers more, or maybe you can improve with grammar or complete sentences. All right, so we're dragging those circles over how we're feeling, and then we're doing a star, what went well, and a step, what we can improve. I want everyone to be filling these out, but then I want Olivia, I want you to tell me your star, what you think you did well, and then I want you to tell me your step, what you think you can improve. So I want everyone reflecting, but then Olivia is going to tell me what went well and what she can improve, because I saw a lot of things go really well when I was looking at Olivia's graphic organizers at her draft of her essay. And then Olivia, just give me a thumbs up when you're ready to share your star and your step. And you might agree with Olivia, or you might have something a little different. Taking a moment to reflect on how our first essay went. And then Olivia, again, just give me a thumbs up when you're ready to share your star and your step. While Olivia is thinking about that, I would like to see how y'all are feeling. So for your introduction paragraph, can you show me on your finger what you said? So for introduction paragraph, show me on your fingers or in the chat. You were so confused, kind of confused, you got it, you could explain it to a friend. All right, I'm seeing some 3s. I want to see more fingers. Thank you, Olivia. Thank you, Kimberly. How are we feeling about our introduction paragraphs? All right, D'Angelo's a 3, Kimberly's at a 3. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of 3s, which is great. I felt really good about them too. All right, finding evidence to prove your point. 1, 2, 3, or 4. How are we feeling about going into our books and finding some evidence? Yeah, Liliana's feeling pretty good. I agree, Liliana, you did a good job. Kyrie's feeling good. Kyrie could explain it to a friend. Yeah, I agree, Kylie, you also did a good job. Some of us are a little bit lower, right? So finding evidence can be a little tricky. This is new for us. What about our conclusion paragraphs? Restating our focus statement, ending with that final reflection. Olivia's feeling good about that. Nice. Mario, how are you feeling about our conclusion paragraph? How are you feeling about writing a conclusion paragraph? 1, 2, 3, or 4, Mario?
I couldn't hear you.
How are you feeling? No worries. How are you feeling about writing conclusion paragraphs?
Maybe
So confused. 2? Yeah, totally fine, right? Conclusions are new for us, right? So some of us are at 2s. And then finally, how are we feeling about grammar, spelling, and complete sentences? 1, 2, 3, or 4. So Ray's giving me a 2, Olivia's giving me a 2. Yeah, grammar and complete sentences can be tricky. We get better at those as we go along. Nice. So Olivia, what went well for you? What was something you said went well?
I think my introduction went well.
I completely agree. Olivia had a beautiful introduction. So if you thought your introduction went well too, you could absolutely put that in your stars. Yeah, Olivia did a great job providing a clear focus statement, pulling the reader in. And then Olivia, what were some steps that you said?
Grammar.
Grammar, right? So yes, absolutely. Grammar is something that I'm still working on too, something that I can always improve. So if you agree, you want to put grammar, you can definitely put that there. You can also put something that's not in this list. All right. So if you need a little bit more time, you can finish that for homework, but thank you guys for showing me your reflections. I appreciate it. All right, we're going to dive into chapter 19. So just as a refresher, Sandy gave a wonderful summary of chapter 18, just so we remember where we're at. Sandy said in chapter 18, Percy, Annabeth, and Grover go into the underworld. In the first part of the chapter, they try to get in the underworld. In the second part, they think of the plan, and so they can get the Master Bolt so they can save Percy's mom, and they see Cerberus a little later. The last part, they use a red rubber ball to defeat the three-headed dog, and that Cerberus does not like sticks, and Annabeth likes a three-headed dog, and she says she will bring another red rubber ball for him. And then Sandy gave a wonderful theme. The theme of this chapter is good versus evil. So that's where we're at in chapter 18. We are starting on chapter 19. Chad, do you have a question?
I wrote the thing on paper, but I don't know how to like send the picture to you.
No worries, Chad. Hang out with me afterwards and we'll get you all set, okay?
Okay.
All right, thanks, Chad. So chapter 19, we're going back to answering our questions about our excerpts. So as I'm reading chapter 19, if you're someone who likes to take notes while I'm reading, you can do so on slide 4. If you're somebody who likes to listen and then do it afterwards, we will be answering these questions together in breakout rooms. So let's see, Brianna, will you please read the first question I want you guys to be thinking about?
What is Percy's point of view towards the dead?
Yes, thank you, Brianna. Next, you're going to find me a quote where Rick Riordan uses sensory details to show me what Percy sees on page 302 rather than just tell us, right? So for example, this is a beautiful example that he's going to talk about, all right? So you're going to find me a quote where he shows me what's going on rather than tells me. What's the third question we're looking at, Saray? Right here, Saray.
What happens to Grover? Why?
Thank you, Saray. And then the last question, Sandy, will you read the last question we're going to be thinking about?
What does the word wall mean? A wall out of words and from deep like tunnel, something that was not after we had gotten away.
Excellent. Thank you, Sandy. So yes, then you're going to be thinking about this word whale and telling me helpful words that helped you get to that definition. Questions about any of these before I dive in? All right, awesome. So again, we're starting on page 300. All right, breakout room number 2. Let's do this together. So number 1, what is Percy's point of view towards the dead? How does Percy feel about the dead on page 301? How does Percy feel about the dead on page 301? Thanks, D'Angelo, for sharing your screen. All right, D'Angelo, I'm going to actually share my screen because you have some awesome answers written down already. And I want to make sure I'm able to hear from everyone, but your answers look awesome. You can go ahead and share your answer to number 1 if you would like.
In my opinion, Percy's point of view of the dead is he's kind of feeling scared, but then again, he's saying it's nothing to be scared of.
Right, and why do you say he's kind of feeling scared?
Because sometimes some people in stories walk slow, and the expression on their face shows a lot. And how slow they.
Yeah, great, D'Angelo, right? They're walking slowly. Their expressions are really sad. So Percy's a little scared, but D'Angelo gave good evidence that he also says the dead aren't necessarily scary, right? And then D'Angelo gave that really good quote. We see Percy says, the dead aren't scary, they're just sad. So we can infer that maybe Percy is a little scared because of the other descriptions, but D'Angelo gave the really good quote, the dead aren't scary, they're just sad. Nice. Did anyone get a different answer than D'Angelo? Anyone say anything different? Find a different quote about how he's feeling about the dead? Right. D'Angelo says, he also said that Percy mentioned that the dead were hard to look at, right? So parts of them is a little bit hard to look at, but they're not necessarily very scary. They just look a little sad. All right, when we're finding a quote where the author, where Rick Riordan does a good job of showing us what the underworld looks like on page 302 rather than telling us. Marlene, I'm going to read this and I want you to tell me when you, or Marlene, before I read it, did you find a quote on your own about a good moment where he creates an image in our mind about what it looks like?
No.
No, I'm totally fine. I like to listen too. So I'm going to read this. And Marlene, when I'm reading this, I want you to tell me what part creates an image in your mind for you. All right. The grass rippled in rainbow colors. I could hear laughter and smell barbecue cooking. Elysium. In the middle of the valley was a glittering blue lake with 3 small islands like a vacation resort in the Bahamas. The Isles of the Blessed, for people who have been chosen to be reborn 3 times and 3 times achieved Elysium. And I thought about how few people there were in Elysium, how tiny it was compared to the fields of asphodel or even the fields of punishment. So which part of that, Marlene, created an image in your mind?
Where it describes how it looks like.
Yeah, and was there a specific part where he described what it looked like that created an image for you?
I can't find it anymore.
Would you like me to read it again? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
You want me to read it again?
Yeah.
All right. The grass rippled in rainbow colors. I could hear laughter and smell barbecue cooking. Elysium. In the middle of that valley was a glittering blue lake with 3 small islands like a vacation resort in the Bahamas. That part? Good job. Which part, Marlene? What was it describing for you?
That it kind of looked like, I don't know how to describe it.
Right, but Marlene, you're absolutely right? So there was like the glittering lake, and Marlene was saying that it kind of looked like a vacation resort in the Bahamas, right? So we can use that quote, and if you wrote down a different quote, that's totally fine. In the middle of the valley.
Quote.
Yeah, D'Angelo, go ahead and share.
Do I have to share it?
No, you don't have to. If you wrote down a different quote, that is totally fine. This is just a great one that Marlene noticed. Nice. Edward, do you remember what happened to Grover?
He got stuck in the underworld.
Yeah, he was stuck in the underworld. You're right. What happened to him in the underworld?
And he had these shoes that was
Hold on, D'Angelo, hold on. I want to hear Edward's voice.
I forgot, but I know it, but I just forgot it.
That's okay. So D'Angelo gave you that hint that he had these shoes. Do you remember what the shoes were doing, Edward?
Making him fly.
Making him fly. Were you done?
Yeah, I was done.
Yeah, they were making him fly. Then can we build on that? Where were they making him fly towards? A new voice. A new voice. So Mario, what were they making him fly towards?
What?
Where were the shoes making Grover fly? Grover was being pulled towards something.
Wait, what page was it?
It was that excerpt, Mario. So I want you to tell me where Grover was being pulled to. Do you need me to read it for you again? Okay. Okay. Ready? I was sure that Grover was going to barrel straight through the gates of Hades' place, but his shoes veered sharply to the right and dragged him in the opposite direction. The slope got steeper. Grover picked up speed. Annabeth and I had to sprint to keep up. Keep going. He was yelling, clawing at the ground, but the winged shoes kept dragging him towards the pit. So where is Grover being dragged, Mario?
To a pit.
Yeah, right. Dragged towards a pit. And like Edward said, he was being dragged towards a pit by his shoes. Nice. Good teamwork, y'all.
I think it's that it has to do something with like either it's an animal because it says something was not happy.
Yeah, great. It could have to do with an animal, definitely, but not happy. Super helpful. Marlene, is that what you were going to say?
I was going to say echoed.
Yeah, right. Echoed. Absolutely. Alondra, did you find our definition of wail for us?
Yes.
Can you share it with us?
It's like a high pitched cry of pain, grief, or anger.
Yeah, it's like a high pitched cry of grief or anger. So Olivia said maybe an animal, right? It says not happy. So an animal could make that high pitched cry, right? So could a person, so could this monster of grief or anger, right? We see not happy, right? We could say outrage. Outrage means like really intense anger. Nice. And then our last one, D'Angelo, what's the main idea of this excerpt? What's the gist?
I think, in my opinion, I think the gist is how Percy, and I think it was Annabeth, but Grover and Annabeth, they were walking in a graveyard, but they was calling the graveyard death, because
Oh,
that's where a lot of dead people is. And they was walking through the graveyard, and Percy was kind of scared, but not trying to show his fear. And Grover was running really fast. I mean, flying because he had these sneakers on.
yeah, right. Percy is feeling a little scared, but not too scared. And Grover's is flying because of his sneakers. Nice work, crew. Awesome job. I really love this conversation. I really appreciated it. All right, so I'm going to bring us back. If you didn't have a chance to write it, don't worry. I'll put this back on the screen. Okay? Nice job, guys.
Inside a classroom.